Chair, madam.
Okay, ma. Go ahead, ma.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon to you all. I cordially welcome you all for the one-day national webinar on Girl Child Boon or Bane in commemoration of National Girl Child Day on 24th January 2022 under Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav 75th anniversary of independence celebrations under the theme of empowering girls for a brighter tomorrow. I request Professor G. Sara Sarojini, Head Department of Physical Education, to start the program with her welcome note. Madam Sara Sarojini, madam, please.
Thank you, madam. A warm good afternoon to you all. Hope all are safe staying at home. On behalf of Department of Physical Education, Center for Women's Studies, Department of Women's Studies, and Center for Women's Safety of Sri Padmavati Mahila Vishwavidyalaya, I extend a warm welcome to this UGC National Webinar on Girl Child, Boon or Bane on the occasion of National Girl Child Day. First and foremost, I would like to welcome our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Jamuna Duguru, who has been instrumental to organize this.
Sarah, unmute. Sarah, unmute.
Yes, unmute.
Now it's okay.
Now it's okay, madam?
Yeah, you are audible.
Yes, ma'am. First and foremost, I would like to welcome our Honorable Vice Chancellor from the Jamuna Duguru, who has been instrumental to organize this program. Next, I welcome our dynamic registrar, Professor D.M. Mamata, to this program. It's my pleasure to welcome today's resource persons, Professor N. Murugeshwari, Professor, Department of Women's Studies, Bharatidasan University, Trichy, and Professor Arunachalam, Professor and Head, Department of Lifelong Learning and Extension, Alagappa University, Karaikudi. I cordially invite Professor T. Bharati, Dean, School of Social Sciences, Humanities and Management, Professor N. Nagaraju, Dean, School of Sciences, Professor Sandhya Rani, Head, Department of Women's Studies and Center, and Organizing Secretary to this webinar. I deem it a pleasure to invite all the heads, directors, principal, teaching and non-teaching staff, students and their families, and general public for this program. Now, I would like to give a brief introduction about Sri Padmavati Mahila Vishwavidyalaya on this occasion. Sri Padmavati Mahila Vishwavidyalaya was established and formally inaugurated on 14th April 1983 by former Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, late Dr. N.T. Ramarao Garu. It is the only university for women in the state of Andhra Pradesh and is the second of its kind in the country. It has grown over a period of 4 decades into one of the leading institutions in the country for higher learning. The objectives of the university include promotion and dissemination of knowledge and skills, particularly of social issues. Tirupati, as world famous pilgrim center, is popular all over the world. It is an educational hub with 6 universities, numerous schools and colleges. The university was started with 10 faculty, 300 students and 20 non-teaching staff. Now it flourishes more than 6,000 students and research scholars, 300 teaching staff, and with 60 courses at postgraduate and undergraduate level, which are job-oriented, professional, and applied in nature. These courses are so designed as to bring out the application potential in students. Note on the Department of Physical Education. The Department of Physical Education was one of the first departments to be started when the university came into existence in 1983. The department started offering its bachelor program, BPEd and MPEd, in 2006 and 2015 respectively, and also started PG diploma and yoga education and research programs in 2015. The department organized All India and South Zone inter-university tournaments and national and international seminars, conferences, and webinars many times. It also took the responsibility of conducting physical education common entrance tests. Besides, the department organized trekking and cycle safari programs under adventure sports. Yoga, officiating, and taekwondo camps are part of the several activities by the department conducts. I hope today's webinar will be more meaningful and useful to all the people who gathered here. Once again, a warm welcome to one and all. Now I hand over to this session to Dr. Moma Devi garu. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. I just would like to introduce about our center and department to the elite group. The Women's Studies Center was established in 1984 with a motto of teaching, research, field outreach, and training on the women-related issues, and for the upliftment of the women at community and to make the higher education more accessible to the girl students. Further, it also aims to promote intellectuality among different sections of the population, activists, NGOs working in the field for women empowerment, and train various sections of the women groups so as to promote required skills and potentialities among them suitable to the global context on par with their male counterparts. And with regard to the department, it has been established in the year 1989, and it is offering MA Women. Now it is offering the MA Gender Studies and MA Economics. Further, it is also offering a foundation course program in Gender Studies for all the third semester students of PG programs. And during the year 2000, the department has also offered the post-graduation course in Women's Studies through distance mode. It is also offering research courses such as MPhil and PhD for the in the discipline of women's studies. The faculty of the center are involved in teaching, research, extension, and training programs. Since inception, we have completed more than 90 research projects from the center funds, organized about 780 extension programs, including entrepreneurship development training programs, and reached about more than 1 lakh beneficiaries. We have tried to bring attitudinal changes and empower women belonging to all the sections of the population. I can proudly say that some of our trainees participated in the entrepreneurship programs, have been started their own ventures, and now they are guiding some other people also. I mean, they're near and dear, and they are becoming the catalyst for organizing more programs in the society. This is the brief introduction about our center and the Department of Women's Studies, and now I would like to request Professor G. Sandhya Rani garu to take over the session and to explain about the theme of the webinar. Sandhya Rani madam, thank you madam, it is over to you.
Thank you, Uma. Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor D. Jamuna madam, respected Registrar, Professor D. M. Mamata, our beloved Deans, Professor T. Bharti garu and Professor R. Nagaraju sir, distinguished resource persons, Professor N. Murugeshwari and Professor N. Arunachalam sir, my colleagues, Professor G. Sara Sarojini, Dr. N. Rajani, Dr. P. Neeraja, and Dr. D. Uma Devi, all the staff members of Department of Women's Studies and Center for Women's Studies, and dear participants from various universities and colleges, good afternoon to you all. I deem it a privilege to introduce the significance of today's webinar. Every year on 24th of January, Girl Child Day is celebrated for a special reason. 24th January is a significant date when Srimati Indira Gandhi became India's first women Prime Minister. This day has its own significance in Indian history as a sign of promoting women empowerment and gender equality. It was initiated in 2008 by the Ministry of Women and Child Development and Government of India as National Girl Child Day in order to spread public awareness about the inequalities that girls face in Indian society, to promote awareness about the constitutional rights of girl child, and to increase awareness on the importance of girls' education, health, and nutrition. The theme of this year for celebrating National Girl Child Day is Empowering Girls for a Brighter Tomorrow. As per Emiteni, at present, the world needs strong women, women who will lift and build others, who will love and be loved, women who live bravely, both tender and fierce, and women of indomitable will. For this, there is a need to create opportunities and encourage girl children not only to show their hidden talent, but also to live their life with full freedom. Today, many girls are entering into various types of challenging professions and proving their capacities. In the backdrop of 75 years of Indian independence, Azad Ka Amrit Mahotsav, the celebration of Girl Child Day holds its own importance in view of providing them avenues to avail the opportunities. It is the time to dedicate ourselves once again to make the public, especially girl children, to be aware of their constitutional rights, various schemes initiated by the central and state governments. This makes the future of every girl child very bright, and she fills every house with her selfless love and bright light. Thank you, Uma. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Here I am concluding. Over to Uma.
Thank you, madam. Thank you for your explanation about the theme of the webinar. Now, I request Professor D. Jamana Garu, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sri Padmavati Mahila Vishwavidyalayam, a world-famous gerontologist, specialized international trainer at USA, Malta, Japan, UK, a Fulbright scholar for twice, and Executive Council member for Indo-Shastri Canadian Institution, reviewer for research projects of ICSSR and ICMR, UGC, etc. And she is an executive member for several bodies and council member for regional ICSSR Hyderabad, and also consultant in many organizations, not only in India, but also abroad, to speak on the occasion. It is over to you, Madam. Jamna, Madam.
Sorry. Good afternoon and a very warm welcome, and my great privilege to associate with this National Girl Child Day, along with the departments of Sri Padmavati Mahila Vishwavidyalayam. Today is a special day for Sri Padmavati Mahila Vishwavidyalayam. The reason, as you all know, it is exclusively for women, and the motto of the Women's University is to emancipate women with right education, right knowledge, and right values. And in this direction, the Padmavati Mahila University is always working for the cause of the girl child, for the cause of the women. On this occasion, I formally, invite to our mates on behalf of Sri Padmavati Mahila Vishwavidyalayam and my own behalf, the eminent speakers, I believe, Dr. Professor Arunachalam and Professor Murugeshwari, along with the deans, Professor T. Bharati, Professor Nagaraju, and the constituent departments of this event, that is the department members, faculty members from Women's Studies Department, Women's Studies Center, Physical Education Department, Center for Women's Safety, and also other faculty members, and my dear students. As I mentioned, it's a proud moment, of Sri Padmavati Mahila Vishwavidyalayam. It's not the first occasion we are celebrating National Girl Child Day. Of course, we are observing the importance and preservation of girl child, the value of the girl child through many programs, especially from the Center for Women's Studies and also the Department of Women's Studies. See, apart from this day is exclusively, we are, celebrating to demonstrate the entire nation that we are part of this movement. We are part of this against the girl child. See, we are part of the strengthening of the movement of the girl child. I'm sure, the two speakers on this occasion will give you very good inputs. And I know this day we need to take a pledge, a special pledge, to save our precious girl child of our nation, not only our nation, the entire globe. It is not the only concern of India's nation. The entire globe, is having its own way of expressing the discrimination against the girl child and against the gender, as you all know. So let's all, together we'll raise our, hands and take a kind of pledge to strengthen, girl child, like not only as an educator from Sri Padmavati Mahila Viswavidyalayam, as a mother, as a teacher, as a friend, as a neighbor, as a well-wisher, in all, dimensions, we all put our hands together to say that, girls, to demonstrate the girl power, to demonstrate the importance of the girl child. Let's all, move together for any corner of this nation to make this day a very special day. And my dear participants, I think, I'm so happy that, we at Sri Padmavati Mahila Viswavidyalayam observing this National Girl Child Day. But not on this particular day, but every day should be a Girl Child Day for us. Every day should be a special day for us to demonstrate that we are with the girl child. We are for the girl child's, strength. We are for the emancipation of women. So with this few of my observations, I'm so happy to join this occasion and observe this National Girl Child Day. And then I wish you all the best to all of you, and my warm greetings to all of you women, and also fathers, uncles, everybody to be with us for this cause of girl child. Thank you so much. I wish you all the best.
Thank you, madam. Now I request our registrar, Professor D.M. Mamata Garu, who is an expert in biotechnology, molecular biology, gene cloning, and expression applied to sericulture and its allied research areas, and Fulbright Fellowship recipient, and DBT Overseas Young Scientist Fellowship awardee, visited various countries, well-known researchers to speak on the occasion. Madam Mamta, madam, I request you to speak on the occasion, madam. Okay, sorry. Probably she might be in administrative work, so she'll be busy. So she is unable to join the meeting. And now I request Professor T. Bharati, Dean, School of Social Sciences and Humanities and Management, to speak on the occasion. Professor Bharati, madam.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Uma Devi. Respected Vice Chancellor, Professor Jamuna Duvuru, respected Registrar, Professor Mamata, the two resource persons, Professor Murgeswari from Bharatidasan University, Professor N. Arunachalam from Algappa University, Head Department of Women's Studies, Professor Sanjay Rani, Professor Sara Sarojini, Physical Education Department, and Dr. Ajani, the Coordinator Center for Women's Safety, and my dear colleagues, scholars, students, and all those who have joined on Zoom platform and also listening from through YouTube. A very good afternoon, and I am very happy to associate myself on this day with this occasion. And Professor Sanjay Rani, while saying, she rightly said, empowering girls for a brighter tomorrow. And certainly this brighter tomorrow is not just for girls alone, for all the human beings. I don't know. I think in this, on this globe, I think we are the only species mute. Yes, on this globe, I think if you look at all these species, human beings are the only one who is struggling with this particular inequality, or talking about gender justice or gender inequality, care for girl, beti bachao, beti padhao, all these things. I wonder whether any other species has this problem. But we, the human beings who claim that we are more advanced, should have been more advanced in our behavior also. But unfortunately, we are not, because we have so many inequalities in this society. Every human being who claims to be a human being has a responsibility. That's what I think. I also expect that every human being should feel the responsibility, and what such responsibility is a moral duty. And every individual who feels or who claims that really they are human beings and they have moral duties should work to reform the social inequalities and try their best to relieve the human suffering. And then, no, it is not just the case, or this is not just with the girls, but it also with the boys or men. On the whole, I look at it as it's a matter connected with the family too, where while making the boys or the men to feel that the other sex also is equally important for to have an equilibrium in the society, but we also have to make the girls realize about their importance, and they also should be given confidence to have clear self-expression, and we also need to make them to be more self-reliant. These are also very essential on the part of the girls to learn to be. Hence, I appreciate, with these few words, I appreciate the Department of Women's Studies for their, and also Center for Women's Studies for always being very active. We have already heard their achievements through Dr. Uma Devi. Very loudly said. I appreciate, because those who are doing should not be silent. They should always speak about. It is not, sometimes people think that speaking about is boasting. No, it will give an inspiration for others who are listening. Yes, they did it. They're not, so your activities are always appreciated, both the center and the department. And I hope you will go ahead with many more success stories. All the best.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam. Now I request our resource person, Professor N. Murugeshwari, Department of Women's Studies, Bharatidasan University, Tirupati, to speak on the occasion. Before her speech, I request Dr. P. Neeraj Garu to introduce her to the elite group. Neeraj Garu, now it is up to you, ma'am. Please take over the session. Neeraj Garu.
It seems host is not allowing Neeraja.
Just now I informed madam to allow her as a co-host. So Shyam will allow her to unmute herself. Okay. There is a little bit technical problem preventing her to join into the, as a co-host. So I will introduce Professor N. Murugeshwari Garu to the elite group. Professor N. Murugeshwari, who is also our advisory committee member, has 20 years of teaching, 18 years of research experience, and she has had administrative experience, also has a head of the Women's Studies Department, publication officer, deputy warden, chair, and head for School of Performing Arts, NAC coordinator, etc. She was also an executive committee member and Senate member for Mother Teresa Women's University, and her research interests are in gender and health, media, counseling and psychology, human resource management, women entrepreneurship, gender and management and public administration, gender and law, gender and economy, education and technology. She has guided 8 doctoral and 62 MPhil scholars so far and published a good number of articles, that is 51 publications in national and international journals, 73 monographs, manuals, including 16 books, and participated in national and international conferences. She has received various awards such as Best Educationalist National Award, Social Scientist, Women Development Achiever Award, Vision 2020 Achievement Award, Kalvi Chudar Award, and Women of Excellence Award, Empowered Women Award, etc. from various institutions. She has organized more than 50 events and participated in about 200 events. She has visited Sri Lanka on part of her career, and she is having membership in various professional bodies such as Indian Commerce Association, Indian Association for Women's Studies, Madras Management Association, Indian Association for Social Science and Health, Executive Committee member in Indian Academic Researchers Association. She is also editorial member for various journals. With this brief introduction, Professor N. Murugeshwari, madam, I am very much thankful to you for your kind acceptance to act as a resource person for today's webinar. Thank you, madam. Now, this session is to you, madam. Please take up the proceedings of this session, madam. Thank you, ma'am. Murugeshwari, madam. Hello.
Uma, please give a minute or two for them to join.
Alage, madam.
She is trying. Dr. Murgeshwari is trying. Please give a few minutes.
Alage, madam.
Hello, good afternoon, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, madam.
Yes,
Yeah,
madam, you are audible.
Yeah, there is some problem in my audio or internet issue. I don't know. So very good afternoon to all. Women's Studies Center and Department of Women's Studies, Sri Padmavati Mahila Vidyalayam, Tirupati, in collaboration with UGC New Delhi and Department of Physical Education and the Center for Women's Safety, we are conducting a very important program, and that we are observing National Girl Child Day. So at the outset, I must thank our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Registrar, Dean of Sciences and Social Sciences, and the organizing secretaries from Physical Education Department, Center for Women's Safety, and Women's Studies Department and Women's Studies Center. Particularly, I must thank the head of the department and the organizing secretary, Sandhya ma'am and Uma Rani ma'am, for your great effort that you have taken. It is the need of the hour. And very important thing is you have such a collaboration program. So this is what Honorable Vice Chancellor and the people are expecting from different women communities, that collaborative programs only will reach the society in an easier way. So as Bharati Madam and Honorable Vice Chancellor rightly pointed out that the day was initiated to spread awareness among people about all the inequalities faced by girls in the country. So from this motto only, the university has chosen the very important resource person from men background. That is a great Professor Arunachalam. He is from Allahabad University, Head Professor, Department of Lifelong Learning. Welcome you, sir, and thank you so much for your presence and very important words and inputs you are going to deliberate in this juncture. So this day promotes awareness about the rights of the girl child and increase the awareness. So why this awareness is much important means that to know about the level and the status of girls' education particularly. And a very important thing is that apart from education, we have to concentrate their health and nutrition. We know that women are the most important section of the society, and equally we are participate in the life existence on the earth. But however, the regular decrease in the sex ratio of female in India because of the crimes against women. So it has created the fear to total finish of women. So it is very necessary to save girl child in order to maintain the ratio of women in India. And I feel that it is the important time. It has been an important moment to create a social awareness in the Indian society, particularly youth of our country. They must know about the importance of National Girl Child Day. Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, madam. Please continue.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, you
Yeah.
are audible.
Yeah. So this gender discrimination is a major problem that the girls face throughout their life. We know that. And this National Girl Child Day is observed every year in India on January 24th. That is to promote the awareness about the rights. Already Madam Sandhya as well as the Dean and Honorable Vice Chancellor explained. But even though this day is in the line with the government campaigns and initiatives, particularly Beti Bacho, Beti Padho, so they are conducting so many awareness programs and campaigns, particularly Save the Girl Child, free education, and women's reservations in colleges and universities. So this National Girl Child Day is celebrated or observed with the events and the programs based on the annual themes, right? So this empowering girls for a brighter tomorrow, this was the theme for 2019. And in 2020, we had the theme was My Voice, Our Common Future. And the 2021 theme was Digital Generation, Our Generation. So this was the theme of National Girl Child Day in 2021. But according to Union Minister for Women and Child Development, Madam Smriti Irani, urged to the educate, encourage, and empower girls. So today is the day to renew our commitment towards providing the equal opportunities to our girls. So on National Girl Child Day, as we celebrate or observe the accomplishment of our daughters, that already Madam rightly pointed out, Honorable Vice Chancellor, that we have to take pledge to bright the gender divide or to build an inclusive or equal society, right? Yeah. Ma'am, the previous slide. The previous slide. So in a country, ours where we walk about the women empowerment or women's rights or gender equality, the crime rate against women at all ages, I'm saying, discrimination at workplace, domestic violence is rampant. And we are not unknown to these harsh realities. So where there are government schemes introduced to uplift the girl's life, like torture or torment is officiated every day. So here I can say some of the facts about the status of girl child that we should be aware. You see, according to the 2011 census, the sex ratio of female to male, the child rose to 944 females to per 1,000 males, as compared to 934 females to per 1,000 males in 2001 census. So we know the difference. And a marginal increase, but still better. But however, in states like Delhi, Gujarat, Punjab, the ratio still remains unimpressive. So, according to the Save Girl Child organization, out of 12 million girls born in India, there are 1 million die before the first year of life, and 1 in every 2 girls in India malnourished. So where we are. So according to the report given by the India's Registrar General and the Census Commissioner, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare and the United Nations Population Funds also points out, based on the 2001 census, that is in the 0 to 6 age group, the most prosperous states of India like Delhi, Punjab, Haryana, Gujarat have the lowest sex ratio. Suppose it comes as a shock to know that even in some rural pockets of India, even a Devadasi system is still prevalent where girl child is offered or married. to a deity or temple and later forced into prostitution. According to a report in the National Commission for Women 2006, I'm saying. So there are a lot of authorities says that there are 2.5 lakhs Devadasis girls who have been dedicated to Yellama. The name of the temple is Kandopa temples on Maharashtra and the Karnataka border. It is there. You can verify that. With regard to education, that is, there is a need of the hour is better education and healthcare facilities for the girl child. Because the female literacy rate is still more than 50%. And 1/3 of the young girls are malnourished. So women in reproductive age group are either anemic because of their restricted healthcare services, or sometimes they suffer from other communicable diseases also. So apart from these issues, even according to UNICEF, the India has the highest number of child brides in the world. During COVID in 2019, the report says that it is estimated that the 40% of girls in India are married before they turn 18. So these incidents are more prominent even in rural India than urban India. Even the government has introduced a lot of cash initiative schemes for girls, like the Lakshmi scheme and Apni Beti Anna program, or adolescents empowerment program, or Kishori Shakti Yojana. So these are the things to introduce the behavior changes towards how people perceive a girl child. Even recently, the Shukanya Shamriti scheme was introduced to help people save enough for a girl child's education and marriage. So achieving gender equality and its skewed sex ratio, like what I said, 940 females per 1,000 males, that bears witness to this fact. So a girl child in India still is often seen as a liability, isn't it? So a burden to pass on. So to break this mindset, we have to given the prevailing influence like of patriarchal values right from their birth. A lot of many girls bear the burden of gender inequality or gender stereotypes, or sometimes they are treated inferiorly as compared to boys. So no matter how talented or ambitious she is, the girl child often receives the shorter end of the stick. So in fear of the exploitations of the issues, are many girls in India, not only in India, even in well-developed countries also, many girls are not sent to school and are kept at home only to be married off early. And even if she is not married off, the young girl is still denied a deserving education, quality health care, employment opportunities, and equal rights that a boy easily gets. So while some girls manage to escape from the shackles and try to build a bright future, most resign to their ill fate. So how can we hope for India to progress when half of our society remains under the shadow of discrimination? So we have to find out the solution or remedy. We must first understand the key difficulties that the girl child that faces. Yeah, previous slide, ma'am. Third or fourth slide. So here the girl children survival is the first challenge. Yes. So while, next slide. While there are laws that ban sex determination, next slide, ma'am. While there are certain laws, even they ban sex discrimination of the 40s or a selective abortion. So this practice continues in the shadows. So this not only negatively impacts the number of girls born, but also affect the health and the safety of the mother. So there are some consecutive pregnancies with the hope of a boy take a toll on the physical as well as the mental health, as it is the woman who gets blamed for the sex of a baby. So the stricter implementations and monitoring of laws and better awareness is the essential one to help the girl child to serve. So why this girl child survival is much important means saving poor children is an important factor that is in ending both poverty and population of the growth. So the death of the children is not holding back population growth. It is one of the reasons that poor people still have many children. So how can we define what is child survival? So it is nothing but like the child survival is a field of the public health concern with reducing child mortality. And there are some child survival interventions are designed to address the common causes of child death that occur while which include like diarrhea, malaria, and other neonatal conditions. So the government also has taken a lot of survival strategies to safeguard the girl child, and it helps to frame low-cost activities and the practices undertaken by individuals, a community, or organization, even the government at all levels, nations, even the United Nations at large. So their aim is to improving the health status of under 5-year children and thereby enhancing their survival in the life. Yeah, next slide, ma'am. There is some hurdles also the women, girl child are facing, receiving with regard to quality education, because there are some data proves that children living in poverty, they face many barriers to accessing an education. Some are obvious, I can say that, like not having a school to go, while others are more subtle. So like the teacher or at the school not having had the training needed to help children, even they learn effectively. So the increasing access to education can improve the overall health and the longevity of the society, and they can grow their economics, and even they combat the climate change also. So yet there are in many developing countries, like children's access to education can be, and it is limited by numerous factors. And there is some language barriers also affecting child, like there are some gender roles and reliance on child labor, and it can all stall the progress to provide the quality education. So the world's most vulnerable children from disadvantaged communities are more likely to miss out on school. So this includes young girls and children, even with disabilities also. And they are not able to get good finding for education. Even sometimes some of the children from rural areas having no teacher, or I can say that having an untrained teacher. So the teacher effectiveness has been found to be the most important predictor of student learning. And the another important barrier is no classroom, because the child cannot learn without the right environment, right? So children in many countries, even in Saharan Africa, even well-developed countries also, even they often spaced into overcrowded classrooms. That the classrooms that are falling apart are learning outside. So they are also lack of having textbooks, even school supplies and other tools they needed to excel. So when girls don't have access to the school, particularly to safe toilets, so they are often harassed or attacked when looking for a private place to go. And girls also miss on the dropout of school when they begin the menstruation time, even if they don't have the sanitation facilities or the sanitation products to manage their period time with the pride and the dignity. The another important barrier is a lack of learning materials. In some places, we could see that outdated and worn out textbooks are often shared by 6 or more students in many parts of the world. So, for example, more than 3% of all 6th grade people, they sold their use of a reading textbook. So apart from that, they face some kind of exclusion of children with the disabilities, because the students with the disabilities have lower attendance rates and are more likely to be out of school or leave school before completing their primary education. So they are suspended or expelled at a rate more than double the rate of their non-special education peers. So a combination of this kind of discrimination provides lack of training in exclusive teaching methods among teachers, even a lack of accessible schools leave this group uniquely, that is the vulnerable to being denied their right to education. The another important thing we can speak about being the wrong gender. Puts simply that gender is one of the biggest reasons why children are denied an education. So despite the recent advances in girls' education, a generation of young women that has been left behind. Even more than 100 million young women around the world are not currently enrolled in school. Or 1 in 3 girls in developing world marries before the age of 18. And they usually leave schools if they do. The another important factor is that there are the many casualties of any war, and education systems are often destroyed. Even the children are exposed to violence and more at risk, even they are underachieving or dropping out at school. So the impact of conflict that cannot be overstated. So nearly 250 million children are living in countries affected by conflict. So more than 75 million children or young people aged from 3 to 18 are currently in urgent need of educational support in 35 crisis affected countries. So with the young girls, 90% of them more likely to be out of secondary school in conflict areas than elsewhere. The another important factors is for many children around the world, a walk to school of up to 3 years in each direction is not uncommon. So the distance from home to school, no, this is just too much for many children, particularly children living with a disability, those suffering from malnutrition or illness, or those who are required to work around the household. So imagine having to set up for school or hungry at 5 a.m. every day, not to return until 7 p.m. So many children, especially girls, are also vulnerable to violence on their long and hazardous journeys to home to from home to school. The another very tragic, and we can't imagine that the hunger and poor nutrition. The impact of hunger and poor nutrition system also gravely underreported. Even being severely malnourished to the point it impacts in brain development, that can be the same as the losing their grades of schooling. So it is estimated that around 150 million children under the age of 5 are estimated to be stunted. So as a result, that the stunted children are nearly 20% to be able to read by age of 8. So they need good nutrition, can be crucial preparation for their good learning. Even the Universal Declaration of Human Rights also makes it clear that every child has the right to a free basic education. So that poverty and lack of money also should not be the barrier to schooling. So in many developing countries over the last several decades, governments have announced the abolition of school fees, and as a result, that they have been impressive increases in the number of children going to school. So not only in Tamil Nadu, even so many state ministers and the government initiated this kind of the empowered scheme, particularly for children. So we can think that why is the education of the girl child is important? Because in our country, many people are unaware of how the education of the girl child can transform lives for the better. So it is a sad state of affairs when people across social economic strata think that investing in a girl child education is a waste of money. So the fact that they would rather justify spending on their daughter's marriage, the expenses or dowry instead of their education is even more disheartening. So the early education can be instrumental in shaping the society towards the progress. When a girl is educated, she is empowered. She can make decisions for herself. She can raise the standard of living for her family and children. and she can generate more employment options, and she can reform the society as a whole. Therefore, a change in the mindset towards girl child education in India is the need of the hour. So every girl child must be treated equally with the love and respect. So the government has been making persistent efforts to raise the status of the girl child, even in the society, as well as they incentivize their education through various schemes and programs. So these have surely contributed to the girls' education to an extent. A lot more needs to be done for girls to be truly treated as equal to boys. Yeah, you can go to that child marriage slide, madam. I think it will be 5 or 6. Yeah, this child marriage is defined means as a marriage of a girl or boy before the age of 18. And it refers to both formal marriages and informal marriages, unions in which the children under the age of 18 live with a partner as if married. So this child marriage affects both girls and boys, not only girls, but it affects the girls disproportionately, especially in South Asia. Because the South Asia has the highest rate of child marriages in the world. Nearly almost half means like 45% to 48% of all women aged like 20 to 24 years reported that being married before the age of 18. Almost 1 in 5 girls, nearly 15% to 70% are married before the age of 15. So this child marriage violates the child rights and places them at a high risk of violence. Apart from violence, they could face exploitation and abuses. So India has the larger number of the brides in the world. That is the 1/3 of the global total. The Bangladesh has the highest rate of child marriage in Asia. So the 4th highest rate in the world, Bangladesh. So Nepal has also one of the highest rates of child marriages in Asia for both boys and girls, I'm saying. So this child marriage is declining in South Asia, with the decline being especially marked for girls under 15. So the marriage of girls aged from 15 to 18 is, however, still the common phase. So more efforts are needed to protect the older adolescents from marriage. Even the UNICEF also approach to ending child marriage in South Asia that recognizes the complex nature of the problem and the social, cultural, and the structural factors also underpinning the practice. So it is the time, and we have to take a concrete solution to stop their child marriage. Even the UNICEF approach also have taken a lot of recognitions and campaigns, and they have taken important steps to eliminate all kinds of issues. But even though at the global level, the child marriage, it is included in the goal 5 sustainable development goals, achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls, which is under target the 5.3, the elimination of harmful practices such as child, early and forced marriage, and a female genital malnutrition. So according to UNICEF, they force us through a global program to accelerate the action to end child marriage in 12 countries with the highest rates of child brides. So in South Asia, it is implemented like Bangladesh, India, Nepal. For the first time, the existing strategies in areas like health, education, child protection, and water and sanitation are coming together to form a unique holistic program with shared plans and goals. So definitely the program will work in partnership with the governments and the civil society, the organizations, and the young people themselves to adopt methods that have proven to work at a scale to give success in future. So behind this, we can see that what are the main causes of the child marriage? The child marriages continues to be a reality for many of the girls because of the variety of factors. So some of the factors I can spell out here, like the poverty, lack of education, and lack of job opportunities, and insecurities in the face of war or conflict, and sometimes the force of custom and tradition. With regard to poverty, for many poor families, marrying their daughter at an early age essentially is a strategy for economic survival. That means that one less person to feed, clothe, and educate. So in Asia and Africa, the importance of financial transaction at the time of the marriage also tends to push families to marry their daughters early. For example, in many of the cultures, the parents get a high bride price for a daughter who is married near puberty. In India, Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, the parents feel that their burden of paying a dowry at their daughter's marriage. So that will be the lower if she is married at a younger age. So globally, forced child marriage is much more common in poorer countries and regions, and within those countries, it tends to be concentrated among the poorest households. For example, a girl from a poor household is 4 times more likely to marry as a child than a girl from a rich household. Apart from that, there are other reasons also. There is some poor situations also will create. The parents see few alternatives for their daughters aside from early marriage. And they have limited education and economic options, or little and no schooling strongly correlates with being married. And they have insecurity in the face of conflict. And some of the tradition and the religions also talks about the child marriage. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, this is very important. This is called about some atrocities and abuse, violence about children. Violence against children is one of the biggest problems affecting families and societies. And it happens all around the world, in all the countries. Like even it happens in the family. So the exposure to violence can lead to trauma and to signs the violence in the children. And a girl child is an easy target, and it is usually at the receiving end of abuse and domestic violence, which is more often than not goes like unreported. Even in rural areas, most of the parents are reluctant to send their daughters to school, fearing their safety. So latest data released by the National Crime Records Bureau also reveals that kidnapping, abduction, and sexual offenses against children were among the top 2 crimes committed against children. So the even international law also clearly establishes about every child rights to protect against violence. So that right also is underpinned by the United Nations Conventions on the Rights of the Child. So the guidelines for the alternative care of children and the sustainable development goals. So yet violence against the children persists. Often it remains hidden. There are many cases are not reported or investigated, and the children suffer trauma that can last their lifetime also. And the violence against the children includes, there are a lot of forms of violence against people that they would see in the picture. Like against the people under 18 years old, whether perpetrated by parents or other caregivers or peer groups or romantic partners or some kind of strangers. So globally, it is estimated that up to 1 billion children from age 2 to 17 years, they have experienced physical, sexual, or emotional violence, or sometimes they feel they got neglected. And every child, they're experiencing violence in different forms. So evidence from around the world shows that violence against the children that can be prevented. Even some of the organizations, non-government organizations also taken the important steps to eradicate all kinds of issues. Because this violence against women, children has many phases and forms, like physical abuse, sexual abuse, neglect treatment, or domestic violence or emotional abuse, and more kinds of forms we can say. And from the report, from the research, they said that every 5 minutes a child dies from violence. 1 billion children, over half of the children aged from 2 to 17 years, they have estimated have experienced their different forms of violence. Nearly 1 in 4 children estimated from 500 million worldwide live in a country they affected by a conflict or any kind of disaster. So most violence against the children involves at least one of children, like every 10 children. So they face some kind of interpersonal violence that tend to occur the many issues in their different stages, particularly in the child development. So maltreatment. Maltreatment means it involves a physical, sexual, or psychological or emotional violence, or sometimes neglects of infants, children and adolescents by parents or caregivers or any other authority figures, most often in the home, but also in settings such as schools or orphanages also happens. Sometimes bullying, even cyberbullying also will include in this issue. So this is also one unwanted aggressive behavior by another child or group of children who are either siblings nor in the close relationship with the victim. So it involves a repeated physical, psychological, or social harm that often takes place in schools and other settings where children gather, or even and online also. So youth violence or the violence is concentrated among the children and young adults, even from 10 years to 29 years also. It occurs most often in community setting between the acquaintances and the strangers. Includes bullying and physical assault, or with or without weapons, and may involve the gang violence also, and the intimate partner violence or sexual violence. So when directed against girls or boys because of their biological sex or gender identity, any of these types of violence can also constitute as gender-based violence. So let us start the new journeys to stop all kinds of issues. With regard to impact of violence, the violence against the children has lifelong impacts on health and well-being of children and families or communities. It reveals like a result in death. Some homicides with often involves the weapons such as knives or firearms is among the top 4 causes of death in adolescents, with the boys comprising over the 80% of the victim and perpetrators. The another important impact is lead to severe injuries. For every homicide, there are hundreds of predominantly male victims of youth violence who sustain injuries because of physical fighting and assault. The another important thing is this violence lead to unintended pregnancies. That is, it is induced like abortions, gynecological problems. Then contribute to a wide range of non-communicable diseases. Yes, of course, as the children grow older, they increase the risk for cardiovascular diseases or cancer, diabetes, and other health conditions also largely due to the negative coping and health risk behavior. It is associated with violence. The another important factor is that impact of violence is the opportunities and the future generation. Like the children exposed to violence and other advertises are more likely to drop out school, have difficulties finding and keeping a job, and are the heightened risk for their later victimization. of the interpersonal and the self-directed violence, by which the violence against the children can affect the next generation. Yeah, next slide, please, ma'am. So with regard to the risk factors, like the violence against the children is multifaceted problem with the causes of individual, the close relationship of community and the societal level. With regard to individual level, they could face the biological and the personal aspect, such as sex and age, or the lower level of education, or lower income, or they having a disability or mental health problems, or the history of exposure to violence. With regard to close relationship level, they could face a lack of emotional bonding between children and parents, or poor parenting practices, or being associated with delinquent peers, or sometimes they can face some witnessing violence between parents and caregivers. With regard to community level, the poverty is a very important factor, and the population density or access to alcohol and other kind of issues, and low social transient populations. With regard to societal level, the social and gender norms that create a climate in which violence is normalized, and health, educational and economic and social policies also that maintain economic, gender and social inequalities. Yeah, next slide, please, ma'am. So how to the prevent the violence against women or violence against children can be prevented, or the preventing and responding to violence against children, that requires that effort systematically address the risk and the protective factors at all the interrelated levels. That is 4 interrelated levels, like the individual, relationship, community, and society. So now, under the leadership of World Health Organization, a group of 10 international agencies have developed and endorsed an evidence-based technical package called INSPIRE. So they have taken some kind of strategies for ending violence against children. Yeah, next slide, please. So these are the 7 strategies, like the implementation and enforcement of laws. For example, banning violent discipline and restricting the access to alcohol and firearms. The second point is norms and values change. For example, altering the norms that control the another point is that safe environments, such as identifying the neighborhood hotspots like for violence, and then addressing the local causes through problem-oriented policy and other interventions. The another important point is parental and caregiver support. For example, providing parent training to young or first-time parents, it must be very helpful to eradicate all kinds of issues. The another point is income and economic strengthening. Like I can say some example, microfinance and the gender equity training will help them. And response services provision. For example, ensuring that children who are exposed to violence, they can access effective emergency care and they receive appropriate psychological support. The another important point is the education and life skills. Yeah, we can provide or ensuring that children attend the school and providing life and social skills training will help their future. Yeah, next slide, please. Apart from that, most of the girls could face, there are some challenges to face with regard to education. With regard to education, I was explaining more points. Even Professor Arnachalam also will explain about education and the issues of girls' education. But anyway, to educate the girls is to lead the way of prosperity. And it is the best way to reduce inequalities and build communities. When we educate the girls, we also take a step towards reducing poverty. But around the world, a girl or children face discrimination in various forms. But girls do not receive the adequate nutrition and they have less or no access to health care. And there is a huge gap in the education for girls also. So, but the problem is that girls face to get an education still remain the same. Yeah, next slide. With regard to gender discrimination in India, girls in India face discrimination both inside their homes and outside their communities. So inequality in India means unequal opportunities for girls. And India is the only country in the world where the mortality of girls under 5 years exceeds that of boys. So girls are encouraged and also engaged more in household work and drop out of school at an early age. So we have to think thrice or 4 times or 5 times why most of the time this incident happens only for girls. And most of the time their movements are restricted to get an education and engage in social exchanges also. So let us think and we have to work to break all kinds of taboos. So we have to start our work not only from raising our voice, that we have to work in the field. And there is some reason also. There are some developing countries like India, a lack of separate toilets for girls and boys is one of the top barriers to education. So the adolescent girls also frequently miss the school due to hygiene related problems and eventually drop out. So schools do not provide sanitary napkin due to extreme taboos, which often lead to girls of menstruating age dropping out school. So in that aspect, we have to concentrate a little more. Yeah, next slide, ma'am. Next slide. Yeah, this is the global leaders meet on gender equality and women empowerment. This commitment to action has happened on 27th December 2015 at New York, the United Nations Conference. And in 1995 in China, 189 governments adopted the Beijing Declaration and a platform for action. That is for the comprehensive roadmap for gender equality and the empowerment of women and the human rights of women and girls. So the platform for action made commitments under 12 critical areas of concern that articulated a vision for women and girls to have equal rights, freedom, and opportunities in all spheres of society and to live their life free from want, free fear from violence. But 2 decades later, the Beijing Platform for Action remains a powerful source of guidance and inspiration. We are now at a critical time in history that the adoption of a new development framework and the sustainable development goals in 2015 provides the international community with a golden opportunity to position the gender equality for women's rights and women's empowerment the center of global agenda, both as an important end in itself and essential means to sustainable development. So in this context, the People's Republic of China and the UN Women will co-organize and co-host a global leaders meeting on gender equality and women empowerment with the motto of their commitment to action. So they framed a lot of objectives. So based on that, they have got the support from the government and they are in the pipeline to achieve gender equality. Not only in the national wise, global wise, we have to achieve gender equality that we have to initiate, mobilize in a concrete way with the new commitments and the financial contributions at all levels, so not only for girls, even to boys also. Yeah, next slide, please. So today is the National Girl Child Day. Highlights or that we observed annually every January 24th. So this National Girl Child Day is observed every year And this day was first celebrated on 4th January in 2008. But this National Girl Child Day aims to spread awareness for girls' rights. And this day promotes the girls' freedom to receive education and girls' health and nutrition. But definitely the girls must be given the opportunity not only to show their hidden talent, but also to live their life with the full freedom. Because the National Girl Child Day is celebrated every year on 24th January. And this day is celebrated to change the outlook of society towards girls. So the earlier girls were discriminated against on the basis of education or health or nutrition. Also, they were not allowed to come out of the four walls of their house and were forced to marry at a tender age. So based on these issues, we are observing every year to eradicate and to break all kinds of issues. Apart from that, there are a lot of schemes provided by the government, central level and the state level, and they would support to the community to bring better solution and better policing as the two important steps to end of this violence, particularly against our daughters. Because the human rights of female children in India and elsewhere, even when protected on paper or violated in practice. So an equitable and egalitarian world order must be established. A comprehensive campaign is needed that combats gender-based inequalities, discriminations or exploitation, oppression, abuse, violence, the inhuman values or violations of human rights, or particularly against female children. So it is the time the girls, because we know that the girls are subjected to female infanticide, foeticide of socio and economic development, and they could face some kind of burden and burden from domestic work or early marriage or childbearing or neglect or denial of healthy living conditions. And they face sexual abuse, exploitation, prostitution, rape, or denial of their rights to protection. So in this way, it is very important to observe the National Girl Child Day, and we have to take much care and we have to take more important to protect the girl child in our world. So the National Girl Child Day is very important to bring equality. Because of this, in many regions, girls are not now forced to marry early. But in any case of violence, our girls have the right to raise their voice. So we have to understand the concept and the motto of this day. There are a number of cases and the crimes increases, and it implies the girl child. It is not safe because due to time constraint, I'm not able to explain the what are the laws and sections that is supporting for girl children. And really, I was shocked when I read about the rape of 3 months baby, 3 months old baby. So this only indicates the sick intention towards a baby girl. So let us put an end to this by taking a few steps since candidate marches or protest and the posting on social media may not be the permanent solution. So what can be done to eradicate all these issues? First, I want to say to you that first and foremost, start respecting the women around you, as learning begins at home. Teach your kids well, and they will learn how to behave with women. Also, the parents should have an open mindset towards their kids as they grow up. Secondly, we should teach our boys to be humble and to change their outlook towards girls of their age. So this can be possible if sexual education classes are introduced and made mandatory in school level. So with the support of the government and the civil society, the violence against our daughters or girl children definitely need to work towards finding community supportive solutions and a better policing to give our society and we can create a bright future in a few days or few months or few years. So let us work for that. We have to bring gender equality. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, madam, for your fabulous speech on speech on status of women, status of girl child in India. Now I request our second resource person, Professor N. Arunachalam, Head Department of Lifelong Learning and Extension, Alagappa University, Karaikudi, to speak on the issue of girl child education. And before going to hand over the session to him, I would like to introduce him to this elite group. Professor Arunachalam is having a vast experience of more than 25 years at university level, and his research interests are educational psychology, lifelong learning, and mass communication. He is basically a psychologist also. He has guided and guiding more than 20 doctoral students, 65 MPhil scholars, and published several papers, more than 50 papers in both national and international journals, and attended more than 60 national and international conferences. He has also visited the countries such as Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, Japan, Hong Kong, Sri Lanka, Nepal, etc. on academic works. He has completed about 35 major and minor research projects funded by different agencies. He has served as a registrar, Tamil Nadu Music and Fine Arts University, Chennai, finance officer for Tamil Nadu Music and Fine Arts University, Chennai, and coordinator, special education cell at Alagappa University, coordinator for coaching for entry service, Alagappa University, and some other designations also he has having. Further, he has organized about 252 events, which is a record at the university level, and he has delivered 30 invited lectures and wrote about 26 manuals and monographs. And he is also a Senate member of Alagappa University and had several other memberships also to his credit. There are about more than 30, which I could not read all of them, and he has produced Vallal Alagappa documentary and 17 short films, 12 documentaries, 21 e-contents. And this is about the brief introduction about Professor N. Arunachalam. Once again, I thank you, sir. Soon after my request, you have accepted my request and accepted to act as a resource person for this webinar. Thank you so much, sir. Now the session is to you, sir. Please take over the session for further proceedings.
So good evening to all. Have you heard my voice?
Yes, we are hearing, sir.
Okay, thank you. So most respected the Vice Chancellor of the University, Professor Jamuna Garu, and the Registrar Professor D.M. Mamta Garu, and the Deans Professor T. Bhardi and Professor R. Nagaraju, and heads of the department, Professor G. Sara Sarojini and Dr. N. Rajini, and also the organizing secretary, Professor G. Shandhya Rani, and the program coordinator, Professor Dr. D. Umarani, and all other participants. My empowering, bright good evening to all. So I'm much and really impressed that the title which was given by the organizers, Empowering Girls for a Brighter Tomorrow, and the duty which was assigned to me by Umagaru is Education and Development for a Girl Child. Really, I'm going to handle this session not a lecture in a way, but as an educationist, to make some thought-provoking in your thinking process, which will fetch a really a bright future and empowering to the girl child, which are the basement and pillars of the any nation's development. Just before I proceed to the topic, just I want to share the slogan for this National Girl Child by India, Beti Bacho, Beti Padko. So that is, it is the mandatory duty for every individual to save a girl child. There is a big question. Why we have to save a girl child and how we all save them? That is the big question of today. And earlier we are all talking about the women education and women empowerment. Rightly, the developing and the developed nation moved towards girls' education. This is called the transformation. This is called the transformation, which is a vital in every human being. Why this transformation has been made from women education to girls' education? Don't think that the women education still in the core, but according to the priority is given right now to the girls' education. Why? A big question. According to the Sigmund Freud, he told education is not mere getting the knowledge, but it is getting by an action. So there is a lot of difference. Mere getting a knowledge we have get from everything, but getting action in between the getting knowledge and put it into action, there is a big gap. There is called the understanding. Our earlier, the pride of our nation, Dr. Abdul Kalam ji said, dream, dream, dream. Convert dream into action, not convert into action. Dream, dream, dream. Convert dream into thoughts, then convert thoughts into action. He's a scientist, he's a philosopher. And why I am telling on this occasion, there is a big gap between the getting the knowledge and putting into action. There is one understanding, the lack of understanding, which will lead all the failures, not only for the girls' education, for all our development. Today I read the message given by our Honorable Minister Smriti Irani from her tweet, educate, encourage, empower. She tweeted, educate, encourage, and empower. So she mainly stressed 3 E's. One is educate and encourage and empower. I think so. As an educationist, I accept the base is to educate. Start with the educate, not only the educate to encourage. There is a big gap that in our implementation. I'm really amazed. Such a wonderful presentation by our fellow colleague from the Bharatidasan University, Madam Murugeshwari. She had put it in a very nutshell and focused. What is the major issues regarding the girl, particularly in the present hour? It's really a accepting fact, and every should know this is the problem. In education, if you want to solve a problem as a problem solvist, you should know the cause. You should know where the root and what are the other factors affecting for that the problem. Then only you will find the problem for a solution. So in such a wonderful presentation by her, she clearly revealed and put it in front of us. These are all the problems. You should look and you should think. Then only you will achieve a good empowerment of girl child in India. With her guidance, and with her the basement. I am going to just awakening your mind. My session is just sharing with you. Kindly remember, I am not teaching, I am not given any oration, and I am not presenting anything. But I will try to talk to each of your heart, not but mind. I will repeat, I try to talk to your mind and make a little bit touch in your heart. Then I will be success to get the empowerment of girl child. My presentation is like that. What is education and what is development and what is the need of our to empower, encourage and educate the girl child. Very simple. This is my presentation. You're all well know about that. What is education? There are a lot of definitions and every individual knows what is education. I'll simply give a definition which will give a real hero of the world from our India, Swami Vivekananda. Education is the manifestation of perfection already existing in the human. I will repeat. Education is the manifestation of perfection already existing in the human. My dear participants and fellow colleagues, we should not give anything new to the receivers and learners. We should make it a change, a manifestation. That is the foremost duty of the education and their teacher. You all remember and wonder that who is the first teacher and who is the first teacher? You ask yourself and you go back when you are a child, who learn from where? I give a pass for this. You think yourself. Your first teacher is your mother. Your first teacher is your mother. According to the Sigmund Freud, his theory accepted by the world majority and denied later, whatever it may be the controversy. But as per the theory and philosophy of Sigmund Freud, he clearly stated that the character of the individual set as a software in the womb of the mother. So when we are in the stomach of the mother, during that the period, the character of the every individual will be imbibed as a software that will be reflected based on the available environment. So why I will stress here, because the mother is the first teacher. Here our major problem solved. If a mother educated, then the family and the nation is educated. There are a lot of leaders quoted the thing. So if you educate a woman, automatically the members of the family will be educated. Recently, I saw a 4 inspirational story quoted by the UNICEF. That the 4 story out of 4, one is from the Nilgiris, the Western Ghats of the down south, the Nilgiri Hills. There is a tribe woman who survived with her 7 children. And she realized later, I lost what from my school I should given to my children. The 7 girl child will educated properly with the struggle, no electricity, no water, no shelter, no proper food. They are below poverty, beyond all. The one person, the mother, the so-called teacher, decided to give education to their children, and they made a change in the family, and ultimately that 7 girl child, never women made a change of their entire village. This is the one inspirational story given in the UNICEF website. Why I am stressing that education is a passport to the future for tomorrow, and it is the investment of today. I repeat, the education is the investment of today, and particularly the education is the investment of education on girl child is not only the investment, it is the foremost deposit of the nation. I added, it is a foremost deposit, a recurring deposit. It will yield with their children and their children and their children. And kindly remember that we are all things not given knowledge, not given what we are given in the schools and colleges, but we make it to give education. One quote, I put it here in this right platform. You are all amazed. This is the quote given by Albert Einstein. You are all well about the scientist Albert Einstein. Education is what remains after one has forgotten what one has learned in school. I repeat, education is what remains after one has forgotten what one has learned in school. So he clearly told that what he or she learned from school, that he or she forgotten while come out from the school, that is the real education starts. And education is the most powerful weapon. This is the word used by the Nelson Mandela. So it has been used as a tool, as a weapon, as a deposit, as an investment, as a skill. So I tell you that this is the manifestation of perfection already existing in the human being. Now my duty is, I'm telling about education, and the next, what is development? And what is development? Simply says that development to an individual for good is education. I will repeat. Education is development which leads to good. So education is nothing but development, it includes education. If you are a mathematician, you all know about that. It's called vice versa. It's positively correlate each other. If you have a right education, you will get the positive high correlation. If you have not an education, your development will be a negative correlation and your life will be in a lower level. If you don't have education, and that's the value of the correlation is 0, and you will be remain static. Simply, I am saying that before proceed to the third one, education is not the filling of a bucket with water, but the lighting of fire. Education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire. So it's called the bound duty of the policymakers, teachers, and the responsible citizens of every nation to ignite the younger minds with education, and particularly to the girl child. That is the major need of the hour. And next, I'm telling about that. What is education? The process of development or being developed. It means they have their own development without getting the self-sufficiency. The Madam Burgeshwari clearly pointing out, when a girl child or a woman getting the self-sufficiency with economic freedom, then only she will survive. Here the development says the process of developing or being developed. It is an event. Here, the development has defined as a event constituting a new stage in a changing situation. I will repeat, this is education is development and education is change. Whenever I go, wherever I talk, I quote this quote from Gautam Buddha, the Siddhartha. Once the disciple of Buddha asked to his guru, Buddha, what is change? The disciple asked to Gautama Buddha, Guruji, what is permanent? The disciple asked, what is permanent? Then the Buddha smiles and replied, in this world, nothing is permanent except change. Nothing is permanent except change. So changing the situation towards the progressiveness is a development. Okay. Nothing is permanent except change. Again, there is a question by the disciple and asked Buddha the second question, Guruji, I accept. The change is the permanent, as you said. The disciple asked, which one brings the change? The disciple asked, which one brings the change? The Buddha again smiles and told, education only bring the change. Education only bring the change. So, in any platform or in any development or in any progressive, education is the basement. And now I will tell you how we make towards an equal feature reimagining girls' education. Here, I will introduce the word reimagining girls' education. This is the concept which I have evolved for this presentation. We have our own thinking, we have our own good ideas, but the need of the hour is we should not rethink, we reimagining girls' education, which is mainly stressed by the UNICEF. How this reimagination, this reimagining will fetch a good development to a girl's development or girl's education. That is the solution which I will give later. Before that, I will tell you that what is the importance for education. Before we have to reimagining and given a new version of education to girl child, every individual must adopt the three formulas. First, this is called the meta learning, metacognition learning. This is need to the teachers, philosophers, psychologists, policy makers, and all the parents. This three formula is very, very important. That is learning, relearning, and de-learning. I will repeat, learning, relearning, and de-learning. You are all think that why this educated fool not telling about the ways and means of developing the girl child. Rather, he is much worried about the parents and the educators and policy makers. My dear friends, if I want to build a dam for saving a water, I should go through how the water comes out and what is the path for the water. If there are any hurdles in the path, in the way of water, I should plan how I should remove the barrier. If I remove the barrier, the water will automatically will come to the conservoir and saved and give the water to everyone. So here we have to go with learn, relearn and de-learn for the policymakers, implementers and parents. This is vital for every people who are really much worried and concerned about the development of a girl child. What is learn? That's you are all well known what are the barriers and how we will remove the barriers and what are the new things we have to given to the girl child. These are all the learning. It's called the new learning. And the second concept in the meta learning is the relearning. We should not do in your real lifetime. We never accept, while I will get my PhD, I guided 25 PhDs, I wrote 25 books, it's published in the Amazon, it's in the Flipkart. What I am telling you should listen. This is the way when we come out from the school or college or attain a position, we decided we are all well know all and we should not know what is the reality in the field. So here, if you want to improve any development to anybody, you should go relearn. That's why Rabindranath Tagore told that if you are a teacher, you should be like a lamp. Since the lamp is continued to glow, it further lightening all the new lamps. So as rightly said by the Tagore, as a teacher, as a parent, and as a policy maker, I am a lifelong I am a lifelong learner as the concept of relearning. The third one, this is very, very essential while you fetch the development to any platform or any field, it's called de-learning. But the concept of de-learning not much introduced in Indian context, and we should not practice this de-learning. The things, many friends asked me, what is the best medicine for health? I told them, forgetfulness is the best medicine forever for bringing the happiness to the present situation. So this de-learning, what it says, you should something forget in your mind already preoccupied. You should erase certain misconception wrongly perceived by you that will never allow to accept the change or the development. I'm telling very deep. If you are de-learning something, then you will get new thing and fill with new things in your mind until otherwise you should not get new things. So this is the base for any development. We go with learn, relearn and de-learn. It's over. Now I come to directly to the business. What is the education and development for a girl child in the present situation? This should be answered by every individual and every parent. This is simply go through by the STEM, S-T-E-M. The new strategy is called STEM. This STEM expressed unwavering commitment to girls and women empowerment and their full participation in all spheres of society. What is STEM? Every individual, what is STEM? It is a one kind of education that should be needed to a woman, and particularly to a girl child who are all the tomorrow's base and future generation of the nation. The STEM, it means what? Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. I will repeat: STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. My dear fellow participants and friends, we are unable to give science, technology, engineering, and mathematics all subject to a single girl child. But it is possible. This kind of thinking and this kind of awareness should be imbibed. That is the major motto of the world through the UNICEF. What is the present crisis in education? We are all go with the book reading and reproducing in the examinations, and we should not survive in the employment. This is called the learning crisis. So now this learning crisis has been taken a new phase. It is called the lack of skills crisis. Lack of skills crisis. So if you have a skill with a right education, you are the boss, and you are the team leader, and you are the CEO, and you are the vice chancellor, and you are the leader. If you have an education without skill, you are one among the group, and you should not survive. This is a new theory and philosophy invented after 2000. So this is the important motto for a girl child who will be the new generation to hold the nation. So achieving STEM is a mandatory by human values into digital access. I repeat, STEM can be helpful to a girl child with the human values access into digital arena. Can you all put one question to me? The literacy and numeracy and the other application is education. No, that is not the education. The literacy, the numeracy, and some of the profession is a skill. The collective of literacy, numeracy, and the profession will make an individual to live with sustainability and self-sufficiency. Then only the collective skills is called education. That is the need of the hour. So the first thing we should want to give a girl child to you, the first one is the need of the moment is change. You tell to every girl child, this is not your real position. This world will make you like this. You know the change and you accept the change and you change the way which the others give. So the first one is change. The second one is confidence. How we will give a confidence to a girl child? Simply ask, tell the stories. That may be one way and one kind. But how we will give a confidence to a girl child? Very simple thing. talk always positively to a child, particularly to a girl child in Indian conditions with more suppressions, and they put the erosion of values on the child. I don't want to go deep in what are the problems that are all well revealed. So the need of the hour is to talk positively always to the girl child. It will lead their further step. You all seen so many people we will see in our regular life. One day I will meet one of my close friend. Whenever he see him, he asked, "Professor, you are looking always slim, very young and energetic. How it possible?" I told her, "Hey Babre, I have little bit of positive energy. Whenever you will meet, you dry all my positive energy and you will make it panic and fear." Now I come to the second point. If you want to develop a girl child, don't give any panic and fear to the child. If you give before the age of 9 or 10, that girl child will always fear in her life, particularly in decision-making process. I will repeat. If you tell fear and panic stories in family with peers, particularly to the women, don't go here and don't see there and do like that. No, this is good, this is bad. You choose yourself. That is the good parenting to give a better education when we start from the family. So change the self-confidence. And third one, whether you're all accepting or not, give self-responsibility in the childhood itself. Give self-responsibility to the girl child. But you see, in many families, the first daughter is the mother of the remaining daughters. My question to the society, the brutal society, my question to the brutal society. You suck through the duty. You give duty as you give the workload as a duty. Why don't you give individual responsibility to the particular girl child? So self-confidence. Third one is don't give any fear or panic. That will totally axe their creativity and their development. And fourth one, this is very important to every individual, to allow the self-talk. To allow the self-talk. If the individual have a self-talk, then the parents, the peers, the society, and the peers should listen what that girl child telling to the others. No, you don't know anything. Stop. You are a girl. You don't have any rights. Nothing. Even in many educated families, this happen. But it may be changes in the urban and some of the modern thoughts family. But even the decision making should not equally done in any family. So the self-talk, how this self-talk will change. This is what I am telling in the UNICEF words, gender responsive STEM education. This approach of teaching is called learning with transformative potential to deliver promise of girls' education. I will repeat. This approach of STEM education, transformative potential to deliver on the promise the girls' education. My dear fellow colleagues and my dear participants, we never bother about the transformative education. We put something into the vessel and ask to put back. That the transformation of potential we have very less nowadays, and the outcomes should not be promised to anyone, particularly to the girl child. So if you want to education and empowerment, go with transformative potential to deliver with assuring promise outcomes on girls' education. So this, how we will achieve, that is called, I'm once again telling that this is called the agencies of voice. So how this, I'm telling about the science, mathematics, technology, and engineering STEM should be an integrated in the thinking manner, not as a subject. That subject may be the mastery in the education, but in the thinking process, that STEM should be integrated as education to solve real world problems by their own selves, not depending any others. Even the people will slap me or slash me. How a girl child will not depending any other? I will repeat, the girl child will solve their problem own, not depending others, but with getting the guidance from the others. So now the role of the parent and teacher and like our people, not as advisors, as a guide, as a counselor. So if you change as a guide and counselor, we remove the gender inequality and provide fruitful education to every individual, and we achieve gender equitable. Now I will change the word. Why we are repeatedly telling negatively gender inequality? No, we assure through STEM gender equitable with the use of digital technologies and girls with equipped with scientific and technical knowledge and life and soft skill that can apply real life context in the ways that we bring the development. This is called the agency of voice and critical understanding. In earlier my starting, I told about that. What is understanding? That is the big gap in our Indian education system. We have a knowledge, we have direct application, but there is in between, there is a very big gap. We don't bother about the understanding. I will tell you one story. 4 blind people seen an elephant. I don't want to explain much. Each one understand their own way, and no one revealed what is elephant. That is the subjects. But we need a critical understanding education, particularly to the girl child. If we are agency and raise a voice, what we should know, we should listen the voice of the girl child. We allow the participation of the girl child. We allow the women in a decision making, and they should sensitize with their own health. I will tell you one thing. I read in the morning, what are the hindrances of the education to a girl child? I really astonished. The first 2 most social factor is, first one, in India, 46% of the schools have a not proper toilet. That's why the girls are hesitated to go schools. And the second factor is using the napkins during their menstruation period, a bigger problem. So these are all the 2. Other are some 5 or 6 factors is that. So here you should listen the voice, allow to raise the voice, and allow to the participation, and ask and accept and allow the decision making, and give sensitization to their own health, and my humble request, kindly allow the girl child choose her own career and her own employment rather our wishes or our dreams. Then kindly put it, a girl child, into all the social environmental issues. This problem may differ in Tirupati or may differ in Tiruchirappalli or may differ in New Delhi. So here we have make it main awareness. We should not put bad things that will hampering the confidence of a girl child, since she is a child and looking and watching what is going on others. If anything wrong thing happen, you should explain. That is the real education. That is need. That is the scientific thinking. So the sorry. Then another 5-6 minutes, I will conclude. So agency of voice, critical understanding, and I already told that the learning outcomes assured, promised that we should expected, and transformation of potential, which will lead to their employment, economical independence, and decision making. And the last one is motivation. Motivation. One of my greater guru and my professor told them, if you want to do good, don't give anything to the others. Think good. That is a good forever. Still, I remember. No need to give anything. I am not the person. I am not the person. Dharma, karma, whatever it may be. But think good. Rest of thing will automatically good. And what is the empowerment? Motivate them to learn and achieve. I repeat, no need to give. This is the learning. That's not our duty. Motivate them to learn and achieve at the highest levels, helping to close the gender gaps. If you don't find the persons who made foolish things against a woman, simply forget those people. You take our girl child, motivate. They will come their own as the leaders. Ask the girl child, every individual girl child. Don't wait for the leaders. You are the leader and you are the savior of the world. Since mother is a savior of any family, automatically a good leader, always a mother always a good leader. So the empowerment in this era, in this technological world, we should achieve only through STEM. That's science, technology, engineering, and mathematical thinking process. With the education will achieve the empowerment. Particularly, it is need. This is called, I will repeat, this term is called the fourth industrial revolution in the world, which is most needed to the children, particularly to the girl child. So the STEM is needed to the children, and the knowledge of STEM and the awareness about the STEM should be known to the parents and teachers. How we will achieve STEM? It's only possible through secondary education, up to secondary education. Now I come to a conclusion. I'm telling about a lot of technical jargons and thinking process, psychology, which is the need. I am not list out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You will read and just you will go, oh, this gentleman from Adagapa University telling 3, 4, 5 days. Forget. And I never implement in my life. But I imbibe something in your mind that will transform into a heart. You will never forget this approach. Not only this fourth industrial revolution, that's called the STEM, whatever the revolution which comes, which is good to the others. So then if you practice STEM, what will happen? They become the innovators, entrepreneurs, and change makers. I humbly submit to all your feats. If you motivate and if you provide STEM to a girl child, they will empower themselves and empower us innovators. We don't want scientists. We need innovators with the new creative minds. We need entrepreneurs and we need change makers. That will possible only through STEM. Only through STEM. Girls need an education that goes beyond literacy and numeracy, that equip with them the tools, the equality, which is called the STEM. Efforts to prepare girls and young women to equally participate in the workforce with STEM fields need to be accelerated. These are all the things what we expected, and this will make a better nation as well as better things in the near futures. At last, I have to tell one thing, and with I conclude with my speech. I'm not able to define whether it is a speech or I talk myself. What is the need? I'm really accepted. The girls are still underrepresented. So this is the right time to represent. I will ask who I am, make them to represent. No, this is the way. As a parent, as a teacher, as a caretaker, I should make they represent in STEM mode education. Then automatically they will grow, and we never talk about any such kind of ifs and buts. So you're all well known about that, the underemployment, unemployment. Here in India, there is a lot of underemployment, but lot of jobs is there, but skill. The next question to me, if I make a representation STEM to a girl child, is it my duty over? No. Because of such attitude and planning, all the schemes so far failed. So first, I should make representation STEM to the girl child. Next, make them, the girl child, responsible to the STEM education. Then only I will achieve 100% education to the girl. If simply I will give, if they don't have any responsive mutually to the given, then this STEM or whatever given to anybody is waste. So The education is called STEM education to scale. Remember, scale. It's always bring the heights. Scales little bit ups and down is that, but it's scaling only towards the upper progress and achieve better results. So this is a time for call of action, and it's only happen in the joint hands. It will attain very soon, because earlier we have thinking of schemes, but now we are thinking of how should we give, how should they taken, and how should it will be success. We are all much earlier worried about the objectives. I repeat, as educationists, earlier we are all worried about the objectives. Now the world, and I also changed my attitude. I am not worried about the objectives. I must confirm and I should accept what is my outcome. If my outcome is better, I am ready to change my object in a good way. So with all this, I will come to a conclusion. This will happen only change of attitude with the higher level as parents and policymakers and educators. And we need a joint hands of society, parents, children, school, and government. Almost we are all nearing the equals, and one day we are all happy. The equality will taste by all the girl child. That day we are all proud. We are all fully freedom in the global. Thank you one and all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your fastidious presentation. And you have again proved as a good psychologist. Thank you so much. Now I request Rajani madam to speak on the occasion.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Uma. Am I audible, Uma?
Yes, you are audible, madam.
Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here on the of National Girl Child Day to talk about the role of Center for Women's Safety of Sri Padmavati Mahila Viswavidyalayam in empowering the girls and women for their brighter future. Yeah, indeed, it is an occasion to reiterate our commitment and further strengthen ongoing efforts to empower the young girls. Before going to the actual activities of Center for Women's Safety, I would like to appreciate and congratulate both the speakers, Professor Murugeshwari Garu and Professor Arunachalam Garu, for your excellent talks. Madam Murugeshwari Garu, you rightly mentioned how the girls are facing a lot of challenges like education, early marriages, malnutrition, and reproductive problems. Yes, it's a need of the day for all of us to think about long-term action plans for addressing the challenges with the cooperation from every segment of the society. Thank you very much, ma'am, for your wonderful presentation. And coming to Professor Arunachalam Garu, sir, thank you very much for highlighting how important dreaming to achieve the goals for the young girls. And rightly you have mentioned the importance of 3 E's: education, encouraging and empowering in the lives of the young girls. Sir, as you said, education is a weapon to save the lives of the girls and also build stronger families, communities, and economies. We agree with you, sir. Education is necessary. Whatever education, either it is a STEM education or any kind of the education is necessary for development of good. So our sincere thanks for being the valuable members of today's program for both of you, sir. Then coming to the actual activities of our center, in today's world, where women are subject to gender-based discrimination in different societies, women universities can prove as agents of change. They can change the prevailing system and ideology in the world. And the universities, especially the women universities, can bring positive changes both to women's lives and society. Really, I'm very proud to mention here that our university, Sri Padmavati Mahila Viswavidyalaya, is giving an excellent opportunity to women for easy access to higher education and fostering the dreams of the students and preparing them for leadership positions in today's world. So our university established Center for Women Safety in January 2021 in collaboration with the AP Police. The center is a sincere, collaborative, community-based initiative for a gender sustainable sensitivity. The praise and thanks for such a massive joint effort go to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Jamuna Duvuru, who as a psychologist, she ironed out all the essentials of this statewide effort through Women's University and AP Police Department, with framing the definite strategies for creating and improving the awareness about against rising crimes against women and how to combat it also. The center is working in association with the AP Police for deep-rooted and wide-based community operational feature for a network of safety for women, whether young or old. And from the inception, the center has been undertaken several activities like creating awareness and sensitization through all stakeholders regarding women's safety, then disseminating knowledge on gender-based violence and women-specific legislations. And we disseminated the women's safety knowledge about the women's safety app, that is DISA app. And many sessions were also conducted on cybercrime, eve teasing, and combating crimes against women. Even in future, the center is making much efforts to take up other activities like gender equality, gender parity at workplace, and sensitizing the community with the women-related issues, and also to train and build up the capacity of the police personnel regarding sensitivity while dealing with the women issues. Actually, the out-of-box regular activities of Center for Women's Safety are unique and guides the young girls and women in the community on how to be a step ahead of attackers and crimes and to refuse to become victims. The center helps women to win before the fight starts. Definitely, the center will work successfully and effectively for the brighter future of young girls and women. Though it's started last year, so we have taken up a number of activities also under the able guidance of our Honorable Vice Chancellor and other stakeholders of the community. So we have that hope that definitely we will succeed in brightening the future of young girls and women in the community. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to say a few activities about the Center for Women's Safety. Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam. Thank you for your explanation. And are there any questions? Now the floor is open for discussion. Is there any discussion, or shall I go for vote of thanks? Okay, I will go for vote of thanks. It is a privilege and great honor to me to propose vote of thanks on behalf of myself and Women's Studies Center and Department and Center for Women's Safety and Department of Physical Education. First of all, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor D. Jamuna Madam, for her guidance and enduring encouragement and support in uplifting our center. And not only our center, but also entire university. I would like to express my gratitude to Professor D.M. Mamata Garu, Registrar, for her constant support to the activities of the university in organizing the assorted programs and her valuable suggestions time to time. Thank you, Madam. And it's my pleasure to express my sincere thanks to our Dean, Professor Bharati Madam, for her congenial presence and her speech. I would like to thank the resource persons of the webinar, Professor N. Murugeshwari Madam and Professor N. Arunachalam sir for delivering such a beautiful and astonishing speech and their ready acceptance for being the resource persons for this webinar. My special thanks are extended to our head, Professor Sandhya Rani Madam, the organizing secretary, for her constant guidance and support, and moreover, freedom that has been given to me by her in organizing this program. I would like to thank all the teaching and non-teaching staff of our Women's Studies Center and Department for their support in organizing this national webinar and making it a success. And our collaborating partners, Professor Sara Sarojini, Head Physical Education, and Dr. N. Rajani and Dr. P. Neeraja, Program Coordinator, Center for Women's Safety. I am very much thankful to you, madams, for your congenial cooperation extended to me in organizing this program. Last but not least, I would like to thank all the participants of the webinar, without whose participation and support this program would not have been succeeded. And I am also thankful to all the supporters directly and indirectly who supported us. Once again, I thank you all and expecting your support and encouragement in our future programs also. Not least, I must thank all my well-wishers who are showering their affection and love to me nationally and internationally and making me succeeded in all my accomplishments. Really, I am blessed in this aspect. I feel that I am very much blessed in this aspect. And I request all the participants to submit their feedback form posted in the chat box. Without submission of this feedback form, you will not get the certificate. And while filling the feedback form, you should be careful. Once more, you better to spell check your names and email IDs. Otherwise, you won't get the certificate.
Uma, Uma,
yes, ma'am.
Science Dean sir no chappaledu ma.
I'm also very much thankful to Professor R. Nagaraju Garu, Dean, School of Sciences, Sri Padmavati Mahila Vishwavidyalaya, for his constant encouragement and support rendered to us in organizing the program. And I request all the participants to fill the feedback form, which will be posted in the chat box. And you would not get the certificate. So once again, I request all you to fill up the feedback in a correct way, and better to before submitting the feedback form, you better to spell check and other aspects also, and then only submit. Once again, I am thankful to you all and showering your valuable blessings, support, love, and affection for making this program a good success, and imploring the same cooperation